What's up YouTube? Today I'm here with the Seiko SNDC31, which has been hailed as one of the best watches out there today for under $100. If you're looking for a watch that looks classic and functions well, but doesn't break the bank, then stick around and keep watching, because today I'll be giving you guys my honest review to see if this watch truly lives up to all the hype. Stay tuned. Before we jump into the review, let me just start off by saying that Seiko did not sponsor this video or send me this watch to review. I purchased this watch myself because I knew Seiko was a very trusted brand, and this watch really caught my eye, so I decided to pick it up. Now, Seiko really needs little introduction, but for those of you guys who might just be a bit new to the watch game, I'm going to give you guys a brief background on Seiko as a company, and then I'm going to talk about this particular watch. Seiko was founded in Tokyo, Japan back in 1881 when a 22-year-old entrepreneur named Kintaro Hattori opened up a small shop in central Tokyo where he repaired and sold watches as well as clocks. He would then go on to establish Seikosha Factory, and by 1913 they came out with the first ever Japanese-made wristwatch. Seiko would then go on to become one of the most important watch brands of the 20th century by coming out with the first ever quartz watch in 1969, as well as many other groundbreaking accomplishments. Today, Seiko still continues to sell tens of thousands of watches every year and is extremely popular both in Asia and in the West. The model that I'm reviewing today comes from Seiko's lower end side of their market, but don't let that fool you. Seiko is known for packing an insane amount of quality into their watches at the lowest cost possible, and this watch has a ton of features and quality for the price. Now, this watch is a chronograph, and for those of you that might not know what that is, a chronograph is just a type of watch that is used as a stopwatch combined with a regular display watch. The exact model that I have here is the SNDC31. It's a classic stainless steel chronograph watch with a brown leather band. I personally think the band on this watch looks much more red than brown, but more on that later. Now let's move on to the size and the specs of the watch. The size of this watch is pretty average. The case diameter is 38mm, the case thickness is 10.5mm, and the strap has a 19mm width as well as an 8-inch length. Now for the specs. The case is made out of polished stainless steel, which is nothing amazing, but it will provide very good corrosion resistance, and it does look good. The movement inside the watch is a Seiko caliber 7T92 quartz movement, which is a pretty common and basic quartz movement, but it will last a very long time if you take care of it. The dial is beige and the crystal is hardlex crystal, which basically means it's impact resistant and relatively scratch resistant. So far, after wearing this watch many times, I've had no signs of scratches or wear on the crystal. This watch does have luminous hands, and they work incredibly well for a watch of this price. The hands charge up very quickly, and once it's dark, they're nice and bright and really easy to read. The watch has 3 subdials: a dual 60-second to 12-hour dial, a 60-minute dial, and a 1/20th of a second dial. The strap is made out of genuine calf skin and claims to be brown, but as you guys can see here, it definitely seems to be much closer to ox blood or burgundy. The watch is 10 bar, which means it's water resistant up to 100 meters or 330 feet, but that doesn't necessarily mean you can constantly swim with it on. And make sure that you stick around and watch the whole video, because towards the end of this video, I'll be completely submerging this watch. The style of this watch is essentially a dress watch. Even though it is a chronograph, which makes it a lot more sporty and versatile, the timeless classic design, however, makes it so it can be worn with a sports jacket or a suit. Now let's jump into the unboxing and discuss the features and overall design of this watch. This Seiko comes in a nice square box that opens up to reveal the watch. The first thing you'll notice is probably the immense amount of detail that this watch has. I honestly remember seeing this watch for the first time and being completely surprised at just how low the price was, even though the amount of detail was so high. The watch feels really good and solid when you're holding it. Definitely not cheap and light. The next thing you might notice is the leather strap. Seiko seems to do a really good job at making their straps as detailed as possible. Once it's on the wrist, it feels very comfortable, and the strap honestly doesn't even need a breaking in process like a lot of other watch straps do. My wrist size is pretty average, and the watch fits me just fine with plenty of room for adjustments if I ever needed it. Along with the watch, you also get some really detailed paperwork. One booklet goes over the guarantee and how to preserve the watch, and the other booklet goes into great detail about the movement of the watch and its different features. As far as the overall design is concerned, this particular Seiko has a very timeless and classic look. But since this watch is also a chronograph, it gives it a bit of a sporty feel as well, which makes this watch extremely versatile. It can be worn with a suit and a tie, or a pair of shorts and a polo. It can be worn with just about anything except for really formal occasions such as black tie and white tie. The watch itself is very detailed and has a really nostalgic look to it. It reminds me a bit of some of the old 1940s and 1950s chronographs, especially with the beige colored dial, and I'm happy to see that that style of watch seems to be making a bit of a comeback lately. Now let's move on to the features. The features of this watch are honestly pretty awesome for the price. So, as I mentioned earlier, this watch is a chronograph, so along with all the regular time telling features, this one also has a stopwatch function. The watch has 3 sub-dials, and my favorite one is the 1/20th of a second dial, which basically allows you to display time recorded more precisely than just a regular second sub-dial. I believe it's more of a novelty because most people are not going to be looking for that type of accuracy when they're timing something, but it does look really cool to have a dial spinning rapidly while you're using the stopwatch. The watch also displays the day of the month in the 3 o'clock position. The build quality of the SNDC31 is definitely one of its strengths. I have been wearing this watch now for the past few months and I've had zero issues with it, even after dropping it and bumping it a few times. Everything about this watch just screams quality. I honestly don't understand how Seiko is able to put together a watch that looks and feels this nice, has this many features, and still costs less than $100. Seiko definitely deserves a ton of credit. Now, I really wanted to test the water resistance of this watch, and even though water resistance is different from waterproof, I wanted to see if this watch was waterproof as well. As I do with all my watches, I did a quick water submersion test. I left it submerged for about 5 minutes, and after drying it off and cleaning it, I found zero signs of water damage or leakage. Now that doesn't mean you can always swim with it on at super deep depths, but it does mean it will be protected from just about any water accident you could think of, and regular swims with it should be no problem. Now, just to make one thing clear guys, as nice as this Seiko is, it's not the highest quality watch out there, but it's definitely one of the very best for the price. I honestly can't think of many other chronographs out there that have this level of build quality and detail that are still less than $100. Overall, Seiko is a great introduction into the world of watches, and the quality of this watch will definitely impress you. Bottom line, at a price tag of around $99, the Seiko SNDC31 is one of the best values in consumer watches today. Thanks to a great overall package of timeless design, solid build quality, and of course Seiko's long history in watchmaking. I'll include an Amazon link below so you can pick up the Seiko SNDC31 at the lowest price available. Last but not least, please don't forget to thumbs up and comment if you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions at all about the Seiko SNDC31, leave it in the comments section below and I'll try to get back to everybody. Take care, guys.